Peace be with you. I am Father Rudolf V, Discalced Carmelite. I am here at Guardian Angels Parish as pastor. We are trying to introduce ourselves through this multimedia to the Archdiocese of Vancouver, and we have been working here in this Archdiocese for almost 13 years now. Now we have this great mission of transmitting the spirituality of Saint Teresa of Avila and Saint John of the Cross. What is Carmel and who are Carmelites? You know, when we think about Carmelites, we always go back to the Old Testament, 1 Kings chapter 19, where Prophet Elijah offered that mighty sacrifice on Mount Carmel. And it is said that the sons or the friends or followers of Prophet Elijah stayed there on Mount Carmel day and night meditating on the word of God. And that's why even today we find the presence of the spirit of Prophet Elijah on this Mount Carmel. If you go to the Holy Land at Haifa, you will find a Carmelite monastery, and there is another monastery at Mukraka, and these in some way represent the spirit of Carmel. Actually, in the 12th century, some of the monks and holy people and hermits who were living there together on Mount Carmel approached the Latin Patriarch Albert the Great for their approval, and they wanted to have a community formed and live together. And they accepted Mother Mary as their mother, or according to the tradition, they accepted Mary as their sister, and with the spirit of prayer and contemplation, they continued their presence. It is said that Saint Berthold and Saint Brocard wrote the first primitive rule under which the Carmelites began to flourish. And after this particular rule that was approved in 1209, the Carmelites spread to the European countries because of the persecution in Holy Land. So that is the short history of the Carmelites. And actually, the Carmelite spirit is prayer and contemplation. Speaking of Carmelites, Carmelite order is one of the 5 major ancient orders, and Carmelites have calced Carmelites and discalced Carmelites. I belong to the discalced Carmelite order. And now when we think about the discalced Carmelite, we always go back to the reformation of the Carmelite order, because Saint Teresa of Avila was born in 1515, who entered the Augustinian convent, but in some way inspired to join the Carmelites. And later, in the convent of St. Joseph's at Avila, she was very strongly inspired by the Spirit of God to reform, to go back to the ancient rule, the primitive rule. And therefore she starts with a group of nuns to reform this order in that particular convent, and then this particular reformation spreads to Incarnation Convent at Avila. And her right hand was Saint John of the Cross, who wanted to join the Carthusians, but he decided to remain as a Carmelite, helping Saint Teresa of Avila in reforming the order itself. Now these two mighty saints, they are called the giants of mysticism, have contributed immensely to Christian spirituality through their writings. Saint Teresa of Avila has written marvelous masterpieces like The Way of Perfection, The Interior Castle, her Book of Foundations, and her Book of Life. And then Saint John of the Cross has written the wonderful books, that is Ascent of Mount Carmel, The Dark Night of the Soul, The Spiritual Canticle, and The Living Flame of Love, and number of sayings, maxims, and poems. So these two Carmelites are discussed Carmelites, and they have a tremendous charism and spirituality that can be shared by all in the Catholic Church and with all people who are willing to know more about the Spirit of God that can draw us to be with Him. Just a word about Carmelites in the Archdiocese of Vancouver. It was in 2013 that two of our friars from India flew to Vancouver, Father Gerald de Souza and Mario Fernandez. And they started their mission in helping the secular Carmelites, and that was the main purpose why they came to Vancouver. And after that, we began to establish ourselves by accepting many parishes in Calgary Archdiocese, Hamilton, London, Ontario, St. Catharines, and recently we also started working in Prince George Diocese. Now, we wanted to establish ourselves in some way, spreading the Carmelite spirituality in this diocese and all over Canada. And that is why our main purpose was to start a foundation. And by God's grace, we met one benefactor by name Helen Chua Thiempo, who is from my parish, Guardian Angels Church, who came forward to help us out in some way to contribute her share in getting us a place. And now she has come forward to build a monastery. And that's why we will be inaugurating this particular facility for the formation of young Carmelites at the mission, that is North Desroches Road, Desroches, Fraser Valley. And this opening of the house will happen on October the 15th this year, 2015. Dear friends, our main purpose through this monastery is to spread Carmelite spirituality, to invite young men to become Carmelites, and to help people to pray. Our main mission will be, in some way, our contribution to the society, helping people to pray better and come closer to God and try to establish in some way God's kingdom here on earth. Apart from that, we also are involved in preaching retreats, guiding people in retreats, helping people to pray, understand Carmelite spirituality, as well as preaching the gospel and proclaiming God's kingdom. So this is our task here in Canada, and with this monastery that is coming up, we will be establishing our presence and spreading so that we can get many more vocations, and that is how Carmelites spread their spirituality. I appeal to you, dear friends, to pray for this venture that is spiritual, which is very much needed here in Canada and elsewhere in the world. And with this prayer and with this aspiration, we launch this important step towards our presence here in Archdiocese of Vancouver, Canada. Thank you, and God bless you.